in and, you know, hopefully make you laugh while we're waiting. So, Susie, if you can have sound, please let me know if you've got sound, okay?
No. No sound.
All right, Susie, do we have sound?
No sound.
No sound. Okay, well, back up and punt.
Something to learn.
Back up and punt. So, you guys, sometime when you think about it, if you want to smile, please go back here and check out where it says everyone smile everyone video. It's just an Eddie B comedy video just to get you, you know, just to put a smile on your face today. Just something to think about. Before we start, though, of course, you know, our whole thing today is about learning management systems. But we want to be clear and on the same page. What is a learning management system? And this is, of course, a definition just from online. A learning management system is software that can trace, track, report, and put everything in one spot. Now, when we were talking to the other group, there was not necessarily a clear understanding of what a learning management system is. I would like to just get off of this for just a second. What do you consider a learning management system? What do you consider? Like, if you have somebody said, what is your definition of a learning management system? What do you consider a learning management system?
I think it's a platform. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me?
A platform for student learning.
I think that's a good one. Now, let me ask you this. Does that platform have to grade?
Not in particularly.
But it's nice if it does.
Yeah. Right.
Well, isn't Canvas a learning platform system?
It sure is.
And Edutopia and all those. Moodle, Blackboard, all those.
Google Classroom.
Yeah.
Google Classroom.
But then some other teachers have mentioned like Seesaw and Class Dojo. Those kind of things don't grade, but you know, people still consider them a learning management system.
Right.
So just something to think about. Does anybody have like anything else that they consider a learning management system? Maybe we haven't mentioned. Or a different definition, just so we're clear all on the same page of what a learning management system is. Okay, we'll keep on keeping on then. All right, so we listed, you should be able to see my screen, and if you can see my screen, give me a thumbs up. Perfect. All right, so we've listed just a few. Of course, Canvas is a biggie, especially for middle school and high school, and we're going to talk, we're probably going more in depth in this group with that. And then the next thing, of course, Google Classroom. Google Classroom is used. I know a lot of, I was talking to a group of teachers the other day. They were middle school and they still use Google Classroom, but they put the link from their Google Classroom into their Canvas. Seesaw is used a lot in elementary school, but we certainly would love to see that and some of the features being used in high school and middle school. And then right here, you see, we've got it, Susie's got it highlighted for you, Microsoft Teams, which is the platform that you're using today for this meeting. We are going to have the representative, hopefully, if we get everything scheduled, to come next week and do our Appy Hour for us. And she wants to just to tell us about the different features in Google Teams. And I hope today that you'll pay attention to the right-hand side of the screen and look at some of those features and just see what this is all about. And then, of course, you know, there's Google Docs, and the last group mentioned some great things about Google Docs and how you can use the chat to interact with your students as they're working. And then, of course, it is an elementary kind of thing, Class Dojo, but we would like to see if anybody at the secondary level is using Class Dojo. And then, of course, you know, there's Blackboard, there's Moodle, and all of these other types of learning management systems. But before we move on, right here where it says roll call, if you haven't signed in for us today, go ahead and sign in right there where it says roll call before we get started on all of these systems. And then let's start right here where it says who needs learning management system? Why do you need one? And Susie, go. Did I lose Susie? She put a really good article right here for you about who needs a learning management system. Susie, have you muted for us?
I'm here. I'm trying to unmute my microphone.
while Susie is getting her stuff together, if you want to go ahead and click on that link, who needs this? This is a really good article, and I'll go ahead and pull it up.
All right, I think I'm back. Miss Mosley was saying that the system won't allow her to enter, Nora. I'm not sure. Miss Mosley, I'm not sure what you mean.
I can try to contact her if you want to go ahead and start talking to the group.
Okay, so that link is where the information came from on who needs an LMS. So the learners need the learning management system to receive their training, but the administrators, trainers, and teachers need it too. So it's not just for the teacher, it's not just for the learner, it's for all of the above to be able to share information back and forth. Nora, can you scroll down? I think you have the control. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am. So here we are on our list. Of course, the features of a learning management system, which ones are important. And of course, there's lots of features of a learning management system that are important. Having the ability to access materials. I know Canvas is a great, Susan, do you know who that is? And can we mute them?
Hold on.
Having the ability to put your materials out there. I know that a lot of times teachers have lots of things in files on Canvas. Being able to contribute, both the learner and the admin being able to add things, being able to give feedback is a great thing. I know gamification is probably not on the top of our list of priorities, but in order to make it fun and get them excited about doing it, and of course, the social tools of it, being able to have a message board, being able to have a whiteboard, being allowed to write things. All of these are great things.
Somebody
Features of
sorry. Somebody does need to mute their microphone.
Okay. Susie, do you have anything to add to this one?
No, I think that was pretty good.
Okay. All right. Also, Susie did a great list right here of resources that you can, of different resources about Canvas, Seesaw. I would love for you to come back to this document and take a look at it. This one right here you got from Mr. Grit that we made at the beginning of the year, Canvas and Google, and it has a ton of things in there that are already compiled. Please don't just have to go search and find. Please take advantage of these resources that are already put together and for one huge list. She did a great job putting all that together for you, so hopefully you'll take a look at it. And then, of course, there's our sign in again. Slide 4 is where I want to call your attention to, because this is where we want your participation. On slide 4, we want to talk together and we want to put together some notes. And we're going to go through all of these different things one at a time and, talk about the pros of things and the cons of things. I think that we definitely, with this group, we should start with Canvas. And of course, the pros of Canvas, it is comprehensive. Our district pays for it. And one of the things right here, you see, prepares students for college. I do think that that's a huge benefit of Canvas in the secondary, because if they're used to using Canvas, when they get to college and they've got Blackboard, it's not so overwhelming. They're like, oh, yeah, I did that in biology and the whatever at West Montgomery or East Montgomery. And it's not so scary to them. And it's a great place for it to be organized. So let's start there with Canvas and the pros, and let's start with some of your success stories, and then we can go into challenges. So don't everybody talk at once. I need some success stories from Canvas.
Well, what you like about it? What do you like about Canvas?
This is Sonia here.
Hey.
Canvas because y'all hear me, right? I like Canvas because it lets the students organize their learning. They have their links there. They know where they need to go and what they need to do in order to successfully complete some of the assignments that are on Canvas. And it also allows me to give feedback. Like if they had to write a paper or something like that, you can go in and you can make notations on the paper and things like that. And y'all already spoke to the graduation focus thing for them for college. So, because that's a big reason why I use it.
When I was using it a lot before, one thing that I really liked was if you could give a quiz or a test and give them multiple attempts at that quiz or test without you having to sit down and grade it, give a whole lot of feedback on it, because they could immediately see either the questions they missed or roughly how many they missed, depending on how you set it up. And you could either, if it was like a review type quiz, you could give them the quiz and then have it to where it actually tells them the correct answer or comments about their incorrect answer as they're taking it the first time. So that worked really well. And then it's it gives them more control as far as what their grade's going to be. Pretty much if they put effort into it, they can make a good grade and they'll learn the content, whether they want to or not. It's pretty much put in some effort and they will learn.
Now, Brandy, were you able to set it up so that it automatically took those grades and put them into Power School? I know that some teachers have had difficulty getting that to set up. Were you successful with that? And can you tell us about that?
I have not yet this year. I think it was about a year ago it stopped syncing right, and I haven't tried it yet this year. I know a few other things with Power Teacher Pro has changed, so it may work right now, but I hadn't tried it yet.
I know that
I believe
I haven't been able to do my grade syncing either. This is Sonia, but
Yeah.
I think they turned it off from the county office or something, but I think it was messing up people's Power School gradebooks at one time, but I know that Colonel at our school successfully uses it.
It's not the most intuitive part of Canvas, and I went through it, and there are like a number of steps that I was surprised at the number of steps it took actually. But it would certainly be nice if everybody was able to do that. That'd be a good PD, wouldn't it? Help everybody go through that to sync their grades.
Even before it stopped syncing, I had another issue where basically if I synced the grades over and then gave students an opportunity to retake a test or something like that, and then tried to sync again, Power School would actually add the two grades. So if one person made 100 the first time and it still showed as 100 the second time, they would have a 200 for their score on that. And it done that across the board with everything. So that was a mess. But
yeah, it's supposed to be like one of the positive things about it, but it has been very difficult for most people, it seems.
And I know it was all about like the name of it had to be exactly the same. And I think that AJ made a video on how to do that, and we should have that somewhere. I can try to find it for future reference.
Yeah.
Told at some point just recently this past year that until it's not syncing with our system that we use at the county office, and that's why people are having trouble with it, with the grading part of it.
Thank you.
Cindy, so let's continue with success. Is there any great, wonderful success that you've had with Canvas, and what specifically? If you could elaborate, we'd appreciate it. Anybody?
Canvas does have like where you can put modules in, like, so it could be, if the students can go to the module and you have your videos and different things in the module, practice activities and stuff like that. But you know, before they had to do a test or something like that, which the modules are a pretty good way to do that. I've also just made links on the calendar where I've just linked it like to the videos that I want them to be able to watch in case that they aren't being successful as going through the modules. Because if they go into the module, they can, after they finish each activity, they can click like next and it'll take them to the next activity. So it's kind of really nice that way. And you can actually set if they don't make a certain percentage or if they don't do a certain thing, it won't like let them go on through the module without going back and redoing what they didn't do well on. So that's one thing.
Which is
Yeah,
if
I
they've
love
missed
that
your
feature.
class too.
I'm sorry.
It's a way for them to see what they've missed and in your class if they miss school.
Yeah, and I kept using that while we're not there because that's what they were used to going to because they could go there because I have almost everything on the calendar for them. So they'll go, and I've got some that work ahead, and so sometimes they've done assignments that I've switched around because I thought, well, we don't need to do this during learning, but it's like 2 weeks ahead, and some people are already working on it, and I was like, well, I guess we'll live and learn how to do it better.
All right, so let's, go ahead, Brandon, and then we'll talk about some challenges. Go ahead, Brandon.
I was about to say with the working ahead, it is pretty easy in Canvas to only make certain content available at certain times. So if you wanted to restrict how far they can get ahead so that they don't get to a point where they're just sort of idling, you can kind of block their access to it before and after a certain time. And one other success that I've had with Canvas was when we were having parent-teacher conferences. If a parent came in and wanted to know why little Susie had a grade of XYZ, I could pull up Canvas and they could actually see exactly what their student has done in the class. And it's very, very apparent. It usually makes for a very quick conference, and then the parents redirected in the right direction. So that's one huge success I've had with it, instead of trying to pull out some paper that I've given a grade for and having to explain that. So they can see exactly what their student selected for their answers, the exact amount of time they spent on everything. It's very useful.
I feel like Brandon was looking at me because that was my stepson in his class.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true, but it was very helpful. You're right.
Yeah.
Any more success?
Do I now?
I was just saying, as a group, is there any more success?
I'm going to say I agree with Brandon. I mean, you can put the open and close date on assignment so they can't go back and redo it after a certain time, or they can't go to it before you're ready for them to go to it. So, yeah, I forgot about that feature.
I was going to add that it makes planning an absolute dream because you can put an entire week's content up or 2 weeks content up, but you don't have to make it visible to the students until the day you want them to do it. So if you want to get really far ahead and then just be able to focus on grading, it's a really simple way to do that and have it all stored in a nice, neat place instead of 18 stacks of paper.
One of the things
Another one to play
while
off
we've been out has been I post everything for the week on Sunday, so they can pick and choose what they need to do when they need to do it.
Something else to play off with what Ms. Blair was saying with the planning. If you are fortunate enough to have the same class multiple years in a row, you can also import your content from the last year's class and just update the dates and stuff like that, and it imports really well. I think you have like up to 500 days to import that content. And you can also export those modules and classes onto something like OneDrive and save it longer than 500 days. So you can come back 5 years later and still import that same content back in.
Or you can also save it in a shell course, which is a fake course, and it's just right there.
And you can also access other people's classes too. So if they've got a class with a lot of content that you can use, you can import it from their classes. So it's even easier to find content material.
Right. Works really good for the core classes. You've got an entire nation of...
Do any of you go to the Canvas Commons?
I have not found much useful in that, but I'm sure some of the more mainstream core classes should be able to access more there, but I'm not certain.
I used it this year. I had to do for our new Mr. Culture, our new teacher over at West Middle. And before they hired him, I had to run the class for 2 months, and I never taught it. Business, kind of like financial. So I was able to find a whole unit on there to keep them busy until we were able to hire him. So.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the Canvas Commons is where we were talking about. You can go in and import from other teachers' lessons, and even like you can import the class if they've made it available. I mean, you have to go in and check and make sure your links and stuff like that work. And, you know, you're going to, of course, tweak it to be what you need it to be.
We all have some great comments. Thank you.
Let's talk about challenges, and let's talk about how we can resolve those challenges, or how we can help each other resolve those challenges. So what are some of the challenges that you've had with Canvas, and maybe we can help each other, you know, resolve those?
Of course, we talked about the grades.
I will tell you one of the challenges I had, and maybe y'all can help me with this. Sonia, I imported a class from Canvas, and it had all these doggone dates on it, and it kind of messed me up when I was trying to play with it. So, Brandon, maybe I did something wrong, but whenever you're importing in class, if it's got all these doggone dates on it, how do you fix that to make it work for you?
You can, when you go to the, oh, go ahead, Brandon, you go ahead.
Right, you can edit the module or the individual assignments. When you go into edit, down at the bottom, you can change when it's available and when it's due, when it's available, and when it becomes available and when it becomes no longer available. But I haven't found a quick, easy way of doing that, short of going into each module and assigning those dates.
When I import mine, when you go to import, there's a setting there, and it asks you about the dates. And if you click on that, you want to change the dates, and you can put in the dates like for your current course, or you can say that you don't want to import the dates. But then, like Brandon said, if you don't if you tell it no dates, then you've got to go in and put all of your dates in there. But you can actually tell it to, when you're importing, I want this course to last from January to June, and it'll like put the dates in there. But you might still have to go in and adjust them a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's aggravating. You have to go into every single one of them. I wish that there was a way that you could just take the dates out, or when people saved them to the Commons, they wouldn't save it, save it without dates, but maybe that's what it does. I don't know.
Well, when you can ask it to import it without the dates, but then you still got to go in and put in dates, because otherwise you don't have it like organized on the calendar.
Anybody else have challenges? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Sonia. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying with the dates, you can ask it to come without the dates, and it'll import it with no dates on there, but then you've got to go in and tell it where you want those assignments to be. And you can do that as you go along through the course. You don't have to do it all at once, which is okay. I mean, that's an okay way to do it too. So.
Anyone else have a challenge with Canvas they would like to talk about?
Well,
I'm sorry.
I've been doing Canvas by trial and error because I really didn't know what I was doing at all, and because I didn't really use it for my classes until now. And is there some way to link? I think you can't, but is there any way to link like quizzes or Khan Academy or Common Lit? Is there any way to link it in there so that I don't have to go and check each one of those sites every time?
Yes, you can put those in as an assignment. You can put the link for each of those in as an assignment. Is that what you're asking?
No, I can do that, but is there any way to link in that that shows that the student has actually gone there. I think you can't,
For
but
instance, Laura, what she's saying is if she gives somebody an assignment of an Ed Puzzle, is there any way to make it so that she doesn't have to go to the Ed Puzzle website?
yeah. Thank you for translating.
I don't know that there is. I know if you go to people, it'll tell you the last time that they logged in. And like Mr. Britt was saying earlier, if you do the things through Canvas, it'll tell you like how long they spent on that assignment. But if you do it in something else, I don't think that there's a way to tell. Do you know of anything, Mr. Britt?
I do not know I do not know a direct way of seeing that. And one of the other issues that I was about to mention is importing assessments into Canvas. It doesn't recognize as many file formats as something like Google Classrooms, because Google is set up with its own document system. It's a little more user friendly, but that's about it.
So sorry.
I do not do it. Yeah.
I said I'm sorry.
I kind of figured you couldn't, but I thought, well, you never know. I mean, maybe you can. So I thought it was worth asking. I didn't really think you could, but
Because think of that link is really just a bridge to another place.
right.
I sometimes I feel frustrated with doing that because I put a lot of links to different places and like going to Quiz and giving them a link to there. And you can go to Quiz and see the grades, but it's not going to be, right there on your Canvas. Sometimes I have my students copy and paste in the results that way, but they have to show me enough so that I can know that it's them that did it. Not just like, oh, here's my grade. So that would be about the only way is for them to copy and paste and submit it if it's from another site, like their work product there.
I have gone to people and I see how much my students are on there, but there are no assignments done. So how are they getting credit for being on Canvas if they haven't really even done anything?
I know that you could go to the people section and it'll tell you the last time that they logged in. So maybe the teachers just have like PowerPoints on there for them to look over. I'm not really sure. It would probably be an individual teacher question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have kids that haven't turned in, like, maybe they've turned in one assignment this whole time, and they've been in for, 3 hours. Well, that isn't really true. And it's hard to use that to judge how much a student has really been on Canvas.
Is it possible they were on for a class that wasn't yours?
Oh, can that happen? Doesn't it just register that it's a class? Doesn't it just register mine, or does it register Canvas in general?
I'm not sure, Mr. Britt.
I'm pretty sure it's on your course, but they could also be on your course on one tab and on Cool Math Games on a second tab, and play Powerline for 3 hours rather than actually doing the assignment.
You also have to remember too, a lot of these students never, ever, ever log out. So it would appear that they're really doing their work, and they're like what Mr. Britt says, they're not doing it.
Right. Well, my issue is that I can't get students to do anything, and it has nothing to do with Canvas. It has to do with them.
Well, with the little time we got left, do y'all want to, why don't we talk about some of these other possible learning management systems? Are y'all good with that?
Is anyone at secondary level using Google Classroom? And can you tell us any success or something that you've done that's great?
I prefer Google Classroom. I like it better than Canvas. Canvas, I put all my links up, and if it's like a homework packet that I need them to work on, like when they were, my middle schools was working, I put the packet in Canvas, but I also put a link up to Google Classroom. To me, Google Classroom's easier.
Ms. Thomas, can you tell them how you kind of did a workaround at your school? Your school is one of the schools that did say that everybody has to be doing Canvas, but can you please tell them how you did the workaround with your Google Classroom?
What do you mean how I did the workaround? I just put the link for Google Classroom in my Canvas.
Exactly. That's what I was talking about. How did you work around it?
And I put the documents in Canvas. I emailed them the documents. I put a copy of the documents in Canvas and the link to Google Classroom and put my documents in there. So they have 3 places that they have their documents. So there's no reason to not do the work.
I just thought that was kind of cool that you did that, especially, since your school did say that they had to use Canvas. You made it work for you, and I think that's cool.
Yeah, because I already had the Canvas done, so I just uploaded the Canvas link or the Google Classroom link into my Canvas.
Plus, you can link from the Google document into Seesaw as well, and that's what I've been using.
Yes, you can.
That's a good point. I'm glad you're with us, Ms. Mosley. Do you mind telling them, Seesaw is another learning management system that is not just elementary. It's not. Do you mind telling them what you're doing with Seesaw?
Yes, you can go in and log in your activities. You can also pull activities from different places to and link it with the Seesaw for the things that you're teaching, and you can make videos. The kids can make videos. The only drawback that I don't like is that we can't see each other. Either they're on or I'm on, but I do get the opportunity to see what they have done and go in and check their work and can converse with them through text message or video to let them know what they need to do. So it's been easier for them than the Google Doc Classroom.
And I'll add on to say, I think it's the easiest platform for student or teacher to add videos or pictures or screencasts, like to explain. Students can explain their work or whatever. It's the easiest platform to do that, where you're not worried about how's my camera going to work and all this kind of stuff.
And I think it's one of those platforms that has the most easiest ways for them to respond and respond back, Susie. I mean, there's just so many options. They can take a picture of it. They can do this. They can do that. I mean, they can respond back to the teacher very easily. One of the drawbacks that we have seen with Seesaw, if you pick that that learning from home option, they can only see their work. They can't see other students in the classroom's work, which is kind of a drawback, because when they were in your class and they could see other people's work, it was kind of cool. They could, but that is one of the features. If they're doing it the home version, they can't see other students' work. Good to see you, Miss Mosley. I'm glad you got on.
Thank you.
And I know at East, I had science teachers decide to use Seesaw. So when their kids they could show something and explain it. It was just the easiest way for them to use it. So even though it's not a learning management system, it all like Canvas or even Google Classroom, it could be a good addition to your portfolio for especially for kids to share work back with you.
And go ahead.
I understand that Seesaw is also really good for like keeping a portfolio for the students, or them being able to keep their portfolio, like an electronic portfolio.
Yes, Sonia. I'm gonna tell you, one of the best ways I've ever seen it used was in kindergarten. And I know that you're like, oh, that's elementary. But they had the students like read the first day of school. Then they had them read the second week of school. Then they had them read the third week of school. And then when the parents came in for parent conferences, like, oh, my kid's not learning anything this year, they showed them those recordings. And it was remarkable. I mean, I know that not necessarily that's an elementary example, but can you imagine, like, if you were doing a foreign language, like, how were they, how was their pronunciation this week? How was it the next week? It's a great portfolio.
And it's real easy for them to take a picture of a paper they've done and put it in whatever folder. You can create folders, like just for your class, whatever different types of learning, and put it in that folder. And then when that parent conference time comes up, sort of like Canvas, pull it up And you can choose to share with things with the parents or not. That's your decision.
Do you think it's better as a portfolio than like them actually saving things like on in a Google Drive?
Can you repeat that?
Do you think it's better than the students say, saving their work like in Google Drive, like doing a Google?
It's very similar.
I don't really think it's better, but it's easier for them to take a picture of it and put it on.
Okay.
Does anyone else have something about Seesaw they would like to share, or some way they've used it, or
any of them?
Yeah, let's make sure we go to that last one, that the Google Slides, the Google Docs. Do we have Seth Dunlap with us? Is he with us?
Hey, Nora. Before we go there, I want to let y'all know that next week we're going to have the girl from Microsoft, and she's games. And this may be interesting for all of us looking at next year, because it works similarly to, say, Google Classroom, but it pulls all of our students' names, our teams, right from Power School. So that'll be our Appy Hour training next week.
And going back to that, make sure you push this roll call link before you get off. But I did want to talk about this, and this is what I was discussing, the Google Slides, PowerPoint Slides, and Class Dojo. That is a way to interact with your students, of course, just like we're doing right here. And then we can even add notes. If you've never paid attention to this little notes history, you can add interactive notes as you're working. It is just a great way for you to communicate and collaborate as you're going along. If you've never used this, it's something cool. And that's another reason why we're using it as part of our meeting. Has anybody had success using, Google Docs, Google Slides, just to get everybody collaborating at one time? Has anyone had success with that?
I've had a lot of success using that with small groups in classrooms, especially when they're working on, let's work in a group of 3 or 4 about reading a story, and then we're going to analyze this, this, and this. Or if they're working on a group project, 2 people can be on the Google document and 2 people can work on something else. The only thing that you really have to watch out for and be careful with is what they're typing in those comments, because if 2 students are typing, that happened to me, inappropriate comments back and forth, and one of the other people in their group is a young lady, and then the young lady's father gets really mad, you just got to watch out what they're saying and make sure that you can monitor it. But you can see their screens from your screen, so it's controllable.
Nora's waiting.
So of course, yeah. It's just a good way to collaborate. I know that Angel was talking about earlier. It's just real time chat while you're working on a document. Students can be working on something in math. It's real time talk. It's like right then when they're working. What about slides? Has anybody done anything with slides where they each student has a different slide? Has anyone done something like that?
I've used it that way when they've been working on different projects, and also in the classroom when we've done like different countries. Everybody had a different country, or it could be some kind of information and that they like. It could be cultural or something, and each student had a different part, and they did it on different slides with the Google Slides. And I think that the kids like using Google Slides, even like when they're doing their group projects, because it automatically saves what they're doing. And once they discover that they can be typing and their partner can be typing, that they don't like have to be waiting for one person to do all the input, they like it a lot better because they can work a little bit faster. So.
Sonia, when you had that, did you have any problems with them writing over each other? Let's talk about some of the challenges. So you've got that and you're saying it's a good thing. Did you have any challenges while they were doing that? And we can just talk about that as a group. How can we resolve those challenges?
I don't, maybe the first time we did it, they may have had that one, a couple people did that, but I think because we're high school, after the first time they figured it out, so they were just like, yeah, and they just would work on made sure that they were working on their slide. So it didn't really happen that much for us. So I don't guess I have really big suggestions on how to avoid that.
I just know, like we've put things out there in, PD, even as adults, we've had people write in the wrong spot or put up a scribble on the line or whatever. I just didn't know, like, if you had any of those challenges as students, did you have to, go over any of those kind of things before you put the lesson out there? And does anybody have a successful way to do that?
Yeah, we did talk about that. Since we're all working on the same document, like if it's, each have a different section, that if you went to the wrong section, then you're going to mess up that person's work and they're not going to appreciate that a whole lot. But I mean, we just talked about it, and I guess we showed an example of like, if I'm typing this, then the student can be typing at the same time. And I just think it might be how you approach it. So, but I can see that I've had classes before that I thought they'll never be able to do this. So.
Yeah, I would say, because I've used it in upper elementary and middle school. Sometimes some of the kids in got in groups, they try to erase work. Sometimes it's accident, sometimes it's on purpose. But you can show them, I show them where you can go and look at the history, the version of the last person that did that. And so that, kind of explain that to them, it helps too, when they can see, and you can also go back to the original versions, because I've had some students, and I do when I'm on Google, I'll hit a key and everything's gone, and I'll try to backspace or hit my refresh button or whatever. But you can go back into to your original version and bring everything up. So sometimes all that helps too with them. But kind of like what she was saying, just kind of modeling it for them.
All right. Does anybody else have anything for the good of group? Something, a learning management system that we haven't discussed? Even, especially with you guys being secondary, is there anything else that you would like to say that we haven't said? Let me ask you this. Has anybody in secondary level using Class Dojo?
Class what?
Class Dojo.
I know so.
Isn't that what Milroy uses? Ms. Chavez?
I think I've heard him talking about using it before.
He doesn't use Canvas.
I know it's similar to Seesaw, but yeah, I think he does use Class Dojo, and I know like Miss Coggins uses the Google Classroom, and she just loves that. So, but I think Milroy does, but I'm not familiar with it.
Basically it started out as a classroom management tool. So basically all the kids have like a little different creature, and like if Miss Chavez, she gets in trouble, the whole point behind it, of course, that it will send your mom and dad a text message that said, hey, I just took, it's a point system. They either add points or take away points. But now it seems like, and I need to get back in there and check it out some more, because it sounds like they've got lots of cool new features that not only just behavior it's tracking, but you can also send out assignments to parents. Parents can respond back through the app. It may have just an elementary look to it, because I know like all the little monsters it probably has an elementary look to it, but I was just wondering if anyone in secondary was using it. That was it.
I use it mostly with my elementary kids. But I like how it can translate the message in different languages. Especially if you don't have an interpreter.
Well, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Brittany.
I'll tell y'all that, and Seesaw can too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have another question. Has anybody really used Canvas very much on their smartphone? Is that really very accessible or not? Because I have kids that have smartphones, but I don't know if they really can access Canvas that well. Any ideas about that?
I have had kids in class complete assignments on Canvas on their phones. when I was at West High, they would forget their computer or didn't have a charger or whatever. And I would actually allow them to do their Canvas assignment on their phone, and I could see them doing it as they were on their phone. So it does work on mobile devices.
Great, thanks.
Commonly,
And
it's
their
a-
eyes are better than mine.
Yeah, I have that app. I had that app, but I didn't know how practical it was on your phone, I guess. So that I'm glad that Mr. Britt, that you've had students use it.
Now you know they don't have
I
that
have not
excuse.
used. Sorry, I have not used it myself, but I have seen them use it. So it is functional, and I'm gonna have to disappear. So I appreciate it, y'all.
No worries. Thanks for joining
Yeah,
us.
You're in your truck.
Yes, I'm at a graveyard about to
Yes.
cover a grave.
Oh, that looks like fun.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I asked that because, high school kids have their smartphones and they do quizzes and Kahoot and all those things on their phones, which I can't even get them to do that. But I have told them that they have Canvas on their phone as well. And because some of them don't have internet in their house, but they have unlimited data.
Mhm.
So it seems to me that's like having internet at your house. I mean, you can always do a hotspot too, but anyway, those are just my thoughts, and I'm sorry to sound negative. It's just that I'm frustrated because I do a lot of work and as well as everybody else, and hardly any response to it. So anywho, I've liked getting to know Canvas though, finally.
Well, this kind of forced it on a lot of people.
Yeah,
Right.
that's for
It
sure.
forced a lot of things. And I think that going forward into next year, I think everybody's going to be better off than they were at the start of this past year,
Yeah.
I think so. It kind of threw us into the water.
Yeah.
Those of us who were hesitant about maybe using it. I wish I'd used it before.
Before you leave us, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think going forward, one of the things that I want to do in my classroom is have practice group meetings, like using Zoom or this
Good
format
idea.
or something like that, so that when I try to do it at like a snow day or something like that, at least they know what my expectations are.
Mm-hmm. Good idea.
Is there anyone else that has something for the good of the group? Please, if you think of something, you're more than welcome to always come back and add it to this document. Please feel free to do that on page 4. Susie's allowed you plenty of room for that. Don't forget that next week, if you want to know more about Microsoft Teams, we're going to have the representative with us. That's the hope. And I don't know if she's going to do 2 separate meetings or she might do one all together. And then, of course, if you please do not forget to go down here where it says roll call and go ahead and sign in today, because if you don't sign in for today, then, your name won't get turned into Felicia for credit. So please make sure if you haven't done anything else today, do the roll call. And if you think of something later on, please add that to this form.
Was this roll call up last time too? Last week?
But it was a different one. It was a different one. Yes, you have to do 2 different ones. You did the one for last week and then you have to do one for today.
Oh, I don't think I did one for last week because I don't think I knew where it was.
We'll check. I'll
Okay.
check. Make a note. We'll add you in if you're not there.
All right, I was there.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. You guys take care and happy Teacher Appreciation Week. And
Thank you.
I got to go to school to get my goodies.
Yeah.
All
Same
right.
here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Martinez.
And if anybody wants to stay on here for a minute and just look over on the side and look at activities or chat or Teams or anything, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you so much, Lauren and Miss Reed.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good to
Thank you
see
for joining us.
everybody.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for your input. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Did I miss something in the chat? Susie, I see something over there. Oh, okay.
No, I don't see anything.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm glad you joined us, Miss Mosley. I'm sorry. I just got back to your message. I was talking.
No problem.
How do we leave the chat?
I think if you just exit, you see the little, so if you pull up, you should see the little hang up. It should be a little red square.
Okay.
Just hang
Like
up.
with a phone?
And I think Susie may be able to answer it, but yeah, it's like red hang up. It's like a hang up.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Y'all have a good day.